Hello, everyone. Welcome to BlockLeap Academy. Today, we are going to see something very, very interesting, very important, because it's always the buzz, and the people who hate Bitcoin say that Bitcoin is going to boil the oceans because it's got a problem of energy consumption. So today we are going to see the myth versus reality. And it's just very important to understand, because otherwise you could think that Bitcoin is bad for humanity. And before we start, really quickly, you have to understand something which is really clear from a business point of view. You know that Bitcoin is a decentralized, permissionless, we will see all this vocab later on, but meaning that you can't really stop it, and it's working online, and there is no CEO, there is no marketing head, there's no marketing department, no lobbying for the time being, because the lobbying now in America is coming, but it's not really existing. So what you have to understand, that if you are a massive oil producer or chemistry company or whatever, you've got maybe hundreds of millions of budget for lobbying. Okay, so if you want to greenwash your company, you use this money and you try to convince people, institutions, politicians that your oil is saving the planet. All right, but when you are Bitcoin, you don't have this power of lobbying, because there is no central authority. So this is why Bitcoin today is taking a lot of criticism, because it doesn't really have any department which is going to say, look, Bitcoin is not really going to boil the ocean. So this, as an introduction, is important for you to remember. Now, is it true? It's true that Bitcoin burns a lot of electricity, all right? So if you look, and we will see, because maybe this number is a little bit abstract, but it's 80 terawatt hour in 2020, in 2021 was even more. So what does it mean? Just for you to see that is more or less 39%, now it's more above 40% of all the energy which is used in Bitcoin to secure the network. We will see that in chapter 2. How do you secure the network burning electricity? We talked in the previous one, the previous topic of proof of work. This is what proof of work is doing, is burning electricity in order to secure the system. So 40%, let's say, of between 40 and 42% now of all this energy used by Bitcoin comes from renewable source of energy and stranded source of energy. And we will see which are these stranded source of energy. So let's talk about the main source of this information, which is come from the University of Cambridge, which created the third global crypto asset benchmark. So all this information, you can get it, the one I'm presenting you now, you can get it from the University of Cambridge, all right? And this survey says that 76% of the people creating Bitcoin, which are called miners, again, we will see that in chapter 2, and 75% somehow is using not 100%, but some of these renewable energy, which is interesting, because more and more miners, not because they want to save the planet, but because they want to survive until tomorrow as a business, has a massive interest in using renewable energy, because usually it's cheaper than the rest. So, and we will see that, okay? So according to the latest study, one of them is this University of Cambridge one, hydroelectric power is the most common source of energy for miners, for the people who create Bitcoin and burn energy in order to secure the network. And nearly 62% of these miners are using hydroelectricity. So meaning that you need, if you're a miner, to set up your business next to a dam, for instance. And you will see that these are really important, how can I say that, important factor if you want to survive as a miner. And then you've got a kind, again, of game theory and energy that we're going to talk about, because again, if you are a miner, you are living in an extremely competitive sector and you are really fighting for your life, and you just need to fight. Your only fight is basically how many computers I'm going to plug in today, and how many, or what's the price of the kilowatt I can get today. And these two elements are one of the most important factors of the survival of miners. All right. So yes, it's true. For the time being, Bitcoin is really power hungry. And if you put it like that, it's shocking, because you say, oh my God, Bitcoin is consuming more than Chile, which is a big country, and a little bit less than Finland, which is a very developed country. So these kind of arguments are used by the press and the lobbyists against Bitcoin, but you have to put that into perspective. So look at these countries in comparison, okay? So Bitcoin energy consumption relative to several countries. So the United States is consuming a lot of energy, and Bitcoin is close to 2% of what the United States are consuming. Obviously, if you go to smaller country like Czech Republic, is more than what the Czech Republic is burning, okay, consuming. So if you look at that, at the annualized total footprint, let's talk about carbon footprint, which is now a big obsession. And you've got carbon markets, which are very important, electrical energy and electronic waste. You can see that Bitcoin is comparable to Slovakia, which is a small country in terms of carbon footprint. About of power consumption is Chile, which is also a small country, and which is a developing country. Okay, and in terms of electric waste is really small, because it's like Luxembourg, which is really, really small country. So what you have to understand is the following as a conclusion. Bitcoin, and this is what this man says here, Dominic Frisby, say like some people question Bitcoin's legitimacy because it uses a huge amount of electricity to maintain the network, but that's not a failing. It's what gives it value. This is very important to understand, that all the energy you burn, this energy goes into the Bitcoin ecosystem. We can say that Bitcoin is pure energy, which is in a way dematerialized and put into Bitcoin. So the price inside the price of Bitcoin, you've got the price of the energy which is burnt. You can say, yeah, but this energy is destroying the planet, 60% of it. But what you have to understand is that the tendency on the long term or medium long term from the mining industry, the Bitcoin mining industry, is that the people creating Bitcoin, which are the miners, in order to survive in a very competitive environment, have to fight and move around in order to find the cheapest source of energy. So what does it mean? That now Bitcoin is growing exponentially. The miners are coming, flocking into Bitcoin. And in order to survive, they have to go in places where the electricity is stranded. I give you an example. All of you must have seen on TV or in movies the typical oil field with chimney, and they burn like gas burning. This gas burning is a choice by oil company. Instead of selling this gas, they prefer to burn it. Okay, so this is a huge source of contamination, but all oil producers do that. But now, a lot of miners talk to this company and say, look, I've got 5,000 computers. May I sit in your oil field and plug in your gas reserve, the one you are burning, and I'm going to use this, the fact you are burning this electricity, this gas, I'm going to use it for my computers in order to create Bitcoin. So I'm not saying that they are not contributing to the destruction of the planet. I'm just saying that this energy would have been anyway burned. So this is what we say stranded source of energy. So Bitcoin is trying to get, instead of burning for nothing this gas, they say, okay, let me burn it for my computers. So it's not an excuse, but it's for you to understand that the tendency is for the miners to go in places where the energy cheap, the energy would be burnt anyway or wasted anyway. And they go to places where no one wants to go. For instance, in Iceland, because you've got a lot of volcanoes and energy which come from the earth. You've got hydroelectric. You've got a lot of miners going next to dams, etc., etc., etc. So the long-term tendency is that every year, if you follow the surveys, you will see that the percentage of electricity coming from renewable energy is going to go up, up, up. And I would say in less than 10 or 15 years, let's say 10 years, I would say like 90% of all the energy burnt by Bitcoin ecosystem would come from renewable energies and stranded source of energy. So this is very important for you to understand, is actually the contrary of what a lot of people are saying, that Bitcoin is going to burn more and more energy and all this energy would boil the oceans. It's a fallacy. What the reality is totally the contrary. And again, I agree, I'm not defending the miners. Miners are doing that, not because they love the planet, but because they are within a logic of capitalism, which is, I want to survive until tomorrow, so I can't buy expensive energy. Where is the cheap energy? So the cheap energy is where I said what I explained in this chapter. All right, so think of this, it's very important. They are not goodies, not baddies. They are just businesses which want to survive until tomorrow. And this necessity push them to use cheap energy. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed that. Take care. And we finished the first chapter. So the next chapter would be about the fundamentals, the technical fundamentals of Bitcoin. So see you later.